I want to go back to that period from the 1890s just to the start of World War One. It's the time when Albert Einstein redefines the universe. Henry Ford redefines industry. Sigmund Freud, he redefines the mind. Friedrich Nietzsche, he redefines morality. Stravinsky, he redefines music. Pablo Picasso redefines art, and James Joyce redefines the novel. Virginia Woolf redefines women in literature. T.S. Eliot redefines poetry, and Emmeline Pankhurst redefines women's rights. It's a time when the world gets a bit weird. It's a time when the concept of time itself becomes relative. God is dead, and at the end of the 19th century, the world is changing really fast. Cities are exploding in size, factories are churning out cars and telephones. Freud is telling people that their dreams matter more than they thought. This is a really interesting time, and it's a time when art challenges the way we represent the world. There's no reason to represent the world in the way we understood it. If life is fractured and confusing, maybe art should be fractured and confusing too. And that's when you get things like Picasso's work, which basically says, who needs perspective? Let's just mash everything together. In other words, modernism begins before the guns of August 1914. And that was the time when everything exploded. So modernism, as we understand it, what we've just started to describe in this artistic movement, is bubbling away, but World War I changes everything and accelerates everything. So modernism went from being a fringe, avant-garde thing to feeling necessary. Millions of people died in the trenches thanks to machine guns and mustard gas. Entire landscapes turned into wastelands. Old values like honour, empire and progress sounded ridiculous when you're ankle deep in mud and surrounded by barbed wire. So modernist writers after the war used fragmentation, irony and symbolism to express how the world felt broken. T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland in 1922 basically is the ultimate post-war mood, a big collage of broken voices and references full of despair and dark jokes. And across the pond, in America, people tried to forget the trauma by throwing on a tuxedo, drinking illegal gin and dancing the Charleston. This is where F. Scott Fitzgerald enters with The Great Gatsby. He's writing about the 20s, jazz, glamour, Long Island mansions, but using modernist techniques, unreliable narration, heavy symbolism, and a sense that beneath the glitter, there's something rotten. So, what is modernism? Well, modernism is experimentation with form. We're talking about fragmented narratives, stream of consciousness writing, weird punctuation, such as this poem from E. Cummings. Pay attention even to the way he writes his own name. And we have the words of the page falling down the page as a leaf falls on loneliness. We have a rejection of tradition. No more neat moral lessons, no more straightforward realism. A focus on subjectivity. Truth is relative. Meaning depends on perspective. And alienation is a feature of the art of this period. Characters are often isolated, lost, or nostalgic for a path they can't reach. And in amongst this, we get films such as this one, Louis Buñuel's 1929 and Chien Andalou. It's a landmark in surrealist cinema. Black and white image evokes the film's avant-garde style, known for its dreamlike, non-linear narrative and strong visual symbolism. Buñuel is a pioneer in filmmaking, and he collaborated with Salvador Dali to challenge traditional storytelling. And at the same time, we have other artists, particularly in Surrealism, and the artworks that we can see on the screen here challenge conventional perceptions of reality. Man Ray's image transforms the human back into a violin, blending the human form with a musical instrument to evoke a sense of surreal harmony. Salvador Dali's 1931 painting, The Persistence of Memory, features melting clocks draped over a barren landscape, symbolizing the fluidity and distortion of time. These images highlight key themes of surrealism, the exploration of dreams, the subconscious, and the unexpected juxtapositions that provoke new ways of seeing the world. We know that modernism is about disrupting social and artistic norms, and surrealism uses visual metaphor and dreamlike imagery to disrupt ordinary experience and invite deeper reflection on reality and perception. But then in 1913 we get this piece of music. The Rite of Spring sounds a bit dull now, or maybe uninteresting to the modern ear, but this caused a riot in 1913. The piece is renowned for its revolutionary approach to rhythm and harmony, and it challenged traditional classic musical norms that sparked a significant controversy at the time. The music here sounds so much like modern cinema soundtracks, and this highlights both the revolutionary aspect of what the music was about and its endurance of modernist art. And we also get in film, the challenges to the social norms and the propriety of the time. And this film here, Morocco, was definitely controversial. And this is a bit of a tipping point because this film would spark a backlash. So this is classic modernism right here, challenging social norms. But in the 1930s, there would be censorship that would ban films like this. And that's where modernism begins to meet politics. In democracies like the US, writers use modernism to critique society. Fitzgerald was asking whether the American dream is actually hollow. In revolutionary Russia, modernist designers like Lissitzky made bold posters for the Bolsheviks, sharp lines, big blocks of red and black, a visual language for radical change. Futurism in Italy was an avant-garde movement born around 1909 when Filippo Tommaso Marinetti's Futurist Manifesto came out. It celebrated speed, machines, technology, and the energy of modern life. Painters, poets, and musicians broke away from tradition to capture the movement of cars, trains, and even war. Futurism revealed the dangers of modernism in some ways. Many members glorified conflict and aligned themselves with fascism. It showed how modernist experimentation could be both liberating and politically extreme. Now, the Nazis completely rejected all modern art. They called it degenerate. For them, modernist experiments in abstraction, fragmentation, subjectivity symbolized chaos, weakness, and un-German values. And they wanted art like this, classical in form and a throwback to earlier classical periods. So it's important then to look at The Great Gatsby as a modernist text. It has an unreliable narrator where Nick Carraway keeps saying he's inclined to reserve all judgments while constantly judging everyone. We have the clear and potent symbolism, the green light, the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg, the Valley of Ashes. Now, these aren't just simple symbols. They're not set dressing. They're clues to bigger themes and also incredibly ambiguous. The meaning behind these symbols is always just slightly off, and that's a key feature of modernism. And that ties back to this fragmentation idea. The novel doesn't give us a clear moral or a stable truth. Meaning is often ambiguous. Is Gatsby a hero, a fraud? Is he both? The characters in this are all feeling alienated. Gatsby throws huge parties, but is always alone. Daisy is adored but deeply unhappy. Nick feels out of place. So The Great Gatsby is a modernist novel about disillusionment, written in a world that feels glittering and broken at the same time. So where did modernism go? Well, it did kind of fade out after World War II and was superseded by postmodernism, but it never really went anywhere. We still see markers of modernism today, whether it's Marie Kondo's idea of minimalism. We have IKEA furniture. It's modernist in form and function. And Apple is entirely inspired by modernist aesthetics. So modernism is born in the late 19th century, but supercharged by World War I. It's a movement across art, literature, music, and design. It's about breaking tradition, experimenting with form, and expressing alienation. It's politically flexible, used by Democrats, revolutionaries, and fascists alike. And Gatsby, it's the glittering surface and the emptiness underneath. Modernism is on the surface simple, but it's incredibly complex. And so it'd be important to look at these works of literature and art in terms of how they were trying to break away from previous traditions and forms.